Hello and welcome to Sports Wire, a weekly sports talk show brought to you by the Garden City Telegram, covering Garden City High School, Garden City Community College, and the area sports scene of Southwest Kansas. My name is Brett Marshall, and I'm the sports editor.
I'm Levi Burnfin, the sports reporter for the Telegram. This week on the Sports Wire, we've got interviews with Justin Nunez after Garden City High School's 42-28 win over Great Bend. We've got interviews with Lawyer Davis and Josh Mice after the Garden City Community College's loss to Air Force Prep.
Well, Levi, you had a rare doubleheader this week and a very strange schedule on top of that. First, last Thursday night, you covered the Broncbusters against Air Force Prep here at home.
That's right.
What'd you take away from the tough loss that they had?
Yeah, I think this week you have to put it on the defense. Jeff Sims, not Josh Mice, Jeff Sims had nothing bad to say about the defense or the offense. He said no one let anybody down. He said it was on him that they lost a close game. And that's what coaches should do. He should take the pressure off of his players. And there's some things he probably could have done a little bit better during the week or something like that is what he said. But the defense let him down. They let a 64-yard touchdown drive in less than a minute to a triple option offense that threw nothing but passes to a converted inside linebacker at quarterback. It's on them this week. They lost 25-22 to an Air Force Prep team that's good but not great, and a team they definitely had on the ropes and let go. And Josh Mice spoke about it with me after the game.
I mean, that's not the first time it's happened. We lost on the last drive. As a defense, we just didn't buckle down and get it done. So they're a tough team. They came out and they competed every down. We just missed assignments, lining up wrong, stuff like that kills it. So we just got to come back and be better.
Levi, the Broncbusters are 1-3, but certainly there's got to be some silver linings in the game from this past week. What did you see as the most progress from them?
Yeah, they went with the two quarterbacks again. Luke Wallstead started the game. He played really well actually, and Sims, I asked him what was the difference in Wallstead's improvement from the week before to last week, and he said it was truly everybody else around him playing better. So that's a good sign that Wallstead was able to come in, really get the offense going. Then they went to J. Rue Campbell, and he said that was something that because the way Air Force Prep was playing them, they needed a more mobile quarterback at that point, someone that can run, because Air Force Prep was really trying to deny the pass, and so they needed a running quarterback to kind of take some pressure off of that. He came in, played really poorly at first, threw 3 interceptions, but he also led the most impressive drive of the game that ended fortunately for the college in that last drive to put them ahead 22-18. They drove the length of field, 11 plays, and they got down to the 2-yard line where Campbell fumbled. Fortunately for the Busters, the fumble went into the end zone. They recovered it for a touchdown. That set up the late game heroics for Air Force Prep, but it was a little bit of a positive sign for the offense that had stalled a lot of the times for this season. And I spoke with Lawyer Davis, a wide receiver for the team, and this is what he had to say about their offense.
Feeling like, we're going to win the game, so we just got to give a little bit more effort in practice, and maybe we'll win the game. We got to win all through the week so we can win on Thursdays and Saturdays. Just effort. We just got to give more effort. We can't, do something good and think it's over with. We got to, do something good every time we step out on the field. Just got to keep going.
Well, Levi, your strange week continued on Friday night. Rather than being in the office designing pages for us, you got to go see the Garden City High School Buffaloes play host to the Great Bend Panthers. Interesting sideline story. Coach Tony Crow from Great Bend coming back, graduate of Garden City High School, but coming back as the head coach. And the Buffs come up with a big win, 42-28. It's the first time they're 3-0 now since 2009. Your first impressions of seeing them play this year for the first time?
Well, first, just watching high school in general is fun. The atmosphere a little bit different. You have a lot more members from the community. Makes sense since there's a ton of local kids on the team. So it's just fun to be out there. I was on the actual field for the first half before going up to the press box for the second half. And it's a lot of fun to watch high school teams go at it. And Friday's game was especially so. Great Bend and Garden City High School, 2 really good teams in my opinion. I think both are going to have really good seasons. Great Bend's on the right track. Garden City High School was just too big and too physical and too mean for Great Bend the entire game. They really took it to them in the final quarter, fourth quarter, with a really impressive drive there. And their linebackers for Garden City High School creates havoc all over the field. Nayland Rincolas, Zeke Herrera. Maybe I'm gushing about these guys a little bit too much since I was a mediocre high school linebacker, but these guys are really good, and they create problems for other offenses with the way they're able to cover the field.
Well, the defense has really been kind of the springboard for the beginning of the season. The 42 points they put up was the most that they've scored so far in the 3 wins. What did you see with the Garden High offense the other night?
Absolutely, and they were able to. They started off very slowly. Their 3 first drives, they had 2 3-and-outs, and then another one that stopped within 4 or 5 plays on a fumble. But their last 8 drives, they had 6 touchdowns on those. They were really impressive. The final drive, Brian Hill called one of his most fulfilling drives of his high school career as a coach. In 13 plays, just ran it down Great Bend's throats, and Great Bend couldn't do anything about it. Garden City High School was just too big across the front, and Great Bend small on the front 7. They held up for a pretty good amount of the game, but that drive they didn't have an answer. And I asked Jesse Nunez about it after the game, and this is what he had to say.
Tiring. I just had to push the pace. I told the offensive line that we got to keep pushing them. We seen them tired, and you can tell in their eyes they were done. So I told them, we got to keep pushing. Like, they know what play we're gonna run over and over, but as long as we just keep driving them off the ball, it's gonna work. Coach said, make sure you have some ball security, and he goes, keep going at them until they submit. It's a fight. Until you go at them until they're done. So that's what Coach kind of had in the run game. They came at us hard, knowing that you just made them tap right at the end. It felt good, but I love it.
The reason I was out at the high school game on Friday, you were out on the golf course covering the Symetra Tour, top women pros from all over the world. How was the tournament, and what was your impressions from the weekend?
Well, as everyone probably knows, it was the second year for the Garden City Charity Classic to be held here at Buffalo Dunes Golf Course. And Levi, it was another great event. I mean, these ladies from all over the world, they're terrific golfers. I think the people who came out and watched and observed had to be totally impressed with how skilled they are. The top group out of this tour are the ones that are going to be playing on the LPGA Tour next year. So they're just a step below. I call it the AAA golf, tour. They're just, like I said, a step below the lady pros that are on TV every week. And a young lady from Melbourne, Florida, Vicki Hurst, was the winner. It was her second win of the season, and she now has enough earnings this year to be an automatic exemption into the LPGA Tour for next year.
And she's getting back to that, right? She was been there before as well.
She has, and the golfing world for women's golf 7 years ago, Vicki Hurst was the next big name coming out in 2008. She turned pro as an 18-year-old. She won 4 tournaments on the Symetra Tour her first year. Got her out onto the LPGA Tour. She was a member of the Solheim Cup, which is the women's team playing against Great Britain, Ireland, and Europe team every other year. She was the real deal, and then she had a wrist injury, and it set her back, and she's now, kind of on her road back. And so it was great to see how well she played. She shot a phenomenal 66 in the middle round of the 3 days to put her in position to win, and then she just played real steady, solid golf on Sunday to win by 2 shots over Olivia Jordan-Higgins, who's from the Channel Islands in Great Britain. So, like I said, there was probably 25 to 30 different countries represented. It was a wonderful week to showcase Buffalo Dunes and Garden City to all these ladies from around the world. Well, Levi, the Bronc Busters hit the road this week to get back into Jayhawk Conference play. They travel a long way to southeast Kansas to play Independence and the Pirates. What do they got looking in front of them this coming Saturday?
Yeah, Independence for the last few years has been at the bottom of the conference, down almost every year. They've won only a handful of games the last 3. 0-4 again this year, but they're a much better team, I think. 2 weeks ago against Dodge City, they entered the fourth quarter leading 21-14. Dodge City went on a run there, scored 24 unanswered in the fourth quarter to beat Independence. But it might be the year that Independence reaches up and beats somebody that they're not supposed to. And so Garden City's got to be a little bit aware of that. And I asked Jeff Sims if going against Independence, if it's going to be difficult to get his players to focus, he said they better not be, because they're not very good right now either. And they've lost 3 in a row, all at home. Their only win this season came on the road to Highland in the opener, so maybe it's good for them to get back on the road again. As the Buffs go on the road this week, so do the Buffs for the second time this year, going to Hayes, another Western Athletic Conference game for them. What's in store for the Buffs against the Indians?
Well, I think this is kind of the mystery game, and if there's a catch game for the Buffaloes, this may very well be it. They're 1-2, but they just beat Liberal on the road last Friday, 29-0. The football coach there, Randall Rath, it's his first year there. He was at Cimarron last year. Only was at Cimarron 1 year prior to that. He'd been at Oakley for 10-plus years and had just had a hugely successful 2A school program there. He's an outstanding coach. My guess is he's going to have them revved up and ready to go, and I think it's going to be it'll be a tough assignment for the Buffs again. But this is a crazy rivalry. They've played 58 times, and each school has won 29. So this is kind of like, at least
Even
temporary, the rubber game of the match. But the last 2 years, the games haven't been very close. 2 years ago, Grayson Temple and the Buffs went up there, 35-0 at halftime. Lightning hit, called the game off.
That's right.
Game over. But 35 points in one half was unbelievable 2 years ago up there. Last year, Alex Delton, who's now at K-State, quarterback, he comes down here and he runs for 300 yards. They get up 42-6, ended up winning 42-28. So the last 2 years, the games haven't been very close. So I'm not sure if I could tell you exactly what kind of game it's going to turn out to be. But the Buffs have an opportunity to be 4-0 and 2-0 in the WAC after this coming week. Well, in talking with Coach Hill this week about the Hayes Indians, he's always making sure that his team's as well prepared as they can, and this is what he had to say about the upcoming game against the Indians.
Well, they're, it's a little old school. They're going to come at us at the wishbone and some power eye. They're going to try to run it down our throat, and we've the last 2 weeks really been playing against the spread attack, and we've had to learn to drop the coverages and make sure we had everybody covered. Well, this week is going to kind of go back to the way we were in week 1, where we've got to be physical up front, we've got to attack them, but at the same time know that they're going to eventually try to throw it over our head for big plays. So I think the biggest thing for us is assignment football defensively and being physical at the point of attack. They've got a lot of guys playing both ways, so I think they run this problem of maybe getting tired, but they've done a good job. They've been in the right place. They play extremely hard, just like all Hayes teams do, and we expect another fight on Friday night. Well, yeah, I think we've still played 3 games and we've been fortunate enough to win, but I don't think that we've played our best game yet. We've had some penalties still that continue to kind of hound us at times. And there's times on both sides that we either give up a big play or we go 3 and out on offense. And so I think we still got a lot of room for improvement. And, that's really the strive right now, is we're striving, to continue to find that perfect game.
Brett, last week, Ulysses Holcomb had a big matchup. Ian Rudzik went a little bit crazy for Ulysses, and they ended up winning that game. What happened in that game?
Well, Mr. Touchdown, Mr. Yards, 6'2", 230-pound fullback, running back, and linebacker, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, 34-20 for the Tigers at home. Tough loss for the Longhorns, but 2 quality teams playing against each other in the same league.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think it's any knock on Holcomb that they lost that game. I think Ulysses just might be that good.
I think people would probably tell you that this is the year Ulysses has been better than they've been in the last 2 or 3. And not that they've been bad, but I think this is the year they feel like they have a chance to go deep into the playoffs. And I expect Holcomb to be in the same position in 4A Division II this year, too. They're really good.
Yeah, and they have a game this week coming up. That's another big game for them.
2 weeks in a row, I don't know how much tougher it gets for Coach Kent Teeter and his club. They get to play at home this time around against Scott City, undefeated, 3-0, number 1 ranked team in 3A, perennial powerhouse in 3A. So it should be a great shootout on Friday night in Holcomb. That's a wrap for this week. I'm Brett Marshall.
And I'm Levi Burnfin.
You've been watching SportsWire, a weekly talk show brought to you by the Garden City Telegram, covering high school and community college sports and the sports scene of Southwest Kansas. The show airs weekly at 5 p.m. Thursdays at www.gctelegram.com.